For years and years, I have been hiding a deep, dark secret from you all, and I'm finally ready to confess. Before I started making YouTube videos, before I started posting fan art on Twitter, I had a Webtoon series. So how did this all begin? Ever since I was very little, I had created multiple comic series, from my longest running one with over 200 characters, Pokemon Adventure Comics, Pokemon Rip-Off Comics, Ion, and finally LOL Academy, the League of Legends based webtoon. I first started drawing the comic in my notebook around 2017 and oh boy, look at all these terrible proportions. After a few years of honing the characters and the plot, I debuted the first episode on Webtoon on July 18, 2020. Just a heads up before I forget to tell you, the art here is like absolutely treacherous, so prepare yourselves mentally. Immediately from looking at the comic, you can see I've committed the biggest crime anyone could have done, using Comic Sans. Oh my god. Anyways, the story follows a class of first-year students at a prestigious and esteemed school called the LOL Academy, an institute which takes in only the best and strongest magic users. Every single person in this universe has a unique ability, and the main character of the story, Neon, is able to control blue flames. The premise of this comic is that all characters are based on real-life people who have ties to League of Legends, like my acquaintances who are casual players, streamers, and pro players. And their magic abilities are based on which champion they main in the game. Like, for example, I have Tyler 1 who is able to wield twin blades, just like his main, Draven. Also, I changed a lot of the names from the original game because I wanted to be different from Runeterra. So like Hextech Gunblade, rest in peace, was now the Cybercraft Saber Edge. The regional names were no different. Ionia became Cryea, Zon and Piltover became Kal Deltstrom, and the dark underground dimension called the Void became... The Abyss. Wow me, so freaking creative. The first few episodes are about getting used to the school and its rules. The teacher, Mr. Mike, starts the first year initiation process by chasing them across the campus into a battle arena where he pairs them up to fight each other so he can evaluate their power levels. This was kind of a lazy excuse from me to introduce all the characters and their abilities, but I'll give a quick rundown anyways. Alongside Neon, the rest of the classmates are Cody, Eddie, Kyle, Leet, Herv, June, Marshall, Kel, Jaden, Fam, and Brian. So anyway, Neon and her partner, Leet, are the first ones to fight against Brian and Jaden. If you are familiar with League of Legends characters, then it becomes apparent which champions each of them mains. Neon mains Ahri, Leet mains Lux, Brian mains Akali, and Jaden mains Kayn. After some difficulties, Neon and Leet somehow manage a messy win, calm Jaden down from his tantrum cause he lost, and join the rest of the class as the next battle begins. Each student has their moment to shine, but the one person that stood out was Cody, who managed to completely dominate the enemy team with just one attack. After that action-filled day, Mr. Mike kindly shows the class on the way to their dorm and... I'm just kidding, he chases them like a maniac back to the classroom for a lecture. He explains that the school has a strict and established power hierarchy, even having different uniforms for each year from 1st to 4th year. And at the top of the pinnacle are the most strongest and powerful students, called the Elite Prime of 9. Mr. Mike then introduces them to different kinds of missions they can go on in their free time to make some gold and gain weapons. Except the loser first years are only allowed easy 1-star missions. After that lesson, we eat our lunch and head back to our dorm rooms. The next day, Mr. Mike gives us an assignment and puts us in a group of 3 and assigns us to hunt our respective monsters. Neon, Leet, and Eddie got the river crawler, and after smartass Eddie lectures the two on the most effective ways to catch it, Mr. Mike lets them all loose while he just passes out on the floor. After a bunch of failure, we brought back the river crawler to the starting point when one group came back completely beaten up and told the class that Kel was being held hostage by the Ignotus of Insight, a 3-star monster. It wasn't looking good, but Mr. Mike told us to follow him and watch how he's gonna rescue Kel and led the way deep into the outskirts of Elderwoods. Fam freaked out when he hears this and flees like a dumbass and runs straight into the monster and Kel. Mr. Mike beats it up and okay, at the time of making this comic, I was so proud of this scene because I thought I drew it really well, but now that I'm looking at it, someday but not today. Mr. Mike saves the day, brings the class back and completely tears the group a new one for leaving school boundaries. Later on in the week, we got a new student. His name is Seabass and Neon instantly gets a crush on him for whatever reason. She doesn't actually do anything with her newfound infatuation, so she decided to go on a rescue mission with Leet. They go into a forest with an item called Pixie's Promise because in addition to giving extra stamina, it also helps detect invisible wisps, which can lead us to the missing child. But as soon as we reach the kid, we get ambushed by a bunch of minions. Neon told Lee to take shelter while she completely demolishes them with tremendous power that came out of seemingly nowhere. Using that much magic zapped Neon of her strength, so when the next day rolled around, she fell asleep in class, which resulted in Mr. Mike forcing her to run laps around the school with him chasing her. Classic. That went on until lunchtime, when Seabass announced that the 2 members of the Elite 9 are gonna fight in a 1v1 match against each other for some stupid reason. But since they're one of the strongest students in the academy, it's a pretty big deal, and most of the school came to watch, including Neon, Seabass, Eddie, Leet, Fam, and Jaden. The battle went Fortnite epic, so you guys don't need to read it on Webtoon, just take my word for it. After that, our lunch break was over and we returned back to a classroom where Mr. Mike informed us that since it's already been a month at the school, they had an opportunity to visit Delstrom, the biggest trading and commerce city in the region, but only if they managed to pass their next assignment, which is to defeat a 3-star monster and rescue a bunch of dummies. Mr. Mike helps us prepare for the mission by giving each one of us a one-on-one teaching session where he assists us how we can use our magic in more useful ways. And you guys won't believe what happened. The comic got 100 times better because I stopped using Comic Sans. But while this was all happening, the Abyss has been slowly creeping their influence into the overworld, getting more active and bold, resulting in the death of a pro summoner and many other civilians. But since we're just dumb teens, we didn't really care about that stuff and got ready to fight the raptor and its burblings. Well, or I guess they'll just get beaten up by a bunch of chickens. A passing summoner called Yamikaze notices our situation and takes care of the raptors in no time, which angers Mr. Mike for interrupting his students, so he knocks half a letter grade from all of our scores and scolds us, but he says that we were all able to visit Delstrom anyways. The next day is a day of our trip. We excitedly board the train and head towards Eastern Bellevale, the biggest city in Delstrom. Halfway through the train ride, 3 members of the Elite 9 burst into our compartment, breaks down the window, and jumps out of the train. We stare in shock, but momentarily forget as we approach the city. Mr. Mike lets the class have free reign to do whatever they want, so they all go in separate ways. Some go visit the local bakery owned by Kyle's family, some go shopping for items and forge them in nearby blacksmiths, and others just chill out while playing a popular card game. We spent the whole day exploring the city until we have to head back, where we hear a rumor of some kids from other first-year classes being expelled on the spot for fighting, which indicates that the school does not tolerate any sort of toxicity. After the trip, Mr. Mike assigns us to another assignment, where we are split into groups and mentored under different summoners for a week. Brian, Kel, Leet, and Kyle will be training under Lily Pichu. Fam, Herv, and Marshall are with Gripex, Cody, Eddie, and June are with the Pro Summoner Double Lift, and finally, Jaden, Seabass, and I are with Ross Boomsocks. We get snippets of how each summoner mentors us, but my group had the most problem with our summoner. Ross Boomsocks was undoubtedly crazy. Here is a list of his psycho behavior in the few days of staying with him. He pitted Jaden and I to fight and encouraged us to use excessive violence against each other. He punched me for almost revealing his magic powers, forced us to spend the entire week and did not let us go back to the academy, gave us only one bed to sleep on, made us do his chores of fetching different ingredients for his concoction, and kicked us down to his basement after he had no more uses for us. During the aforementioned hunting down the ingredients for Ross, Jaden and I came across two shady figures talking about some prophecy and empire or something. This disturbs Jaden as he tries to rally us into taking action, but I found no use in doing anything about it and Seabass literally doesn't care. And that's all I had posted. 40 episodes of the worst webtoon comic ever. So what happened? Why did I stop continuing the story? The answer is simple. I could not bear looking at my terrible art and felt frustrated by the lack of improvement. Looking back at some of the panels, I definitely could tell what I was going for, but I literally had no skills to deliver the scenery as I envisioned it. I told my followers that I was gonna take some time off to get better at drawing before I came back, but you know how that went. And surprisingly, I did improve, but I'm still not at that point yet. I need to get much better. Webtoon also has this dumb limitation where you can only post like 100 files per episode, so I literally had to cut some parts short. There was this one scene where Neon and Jaden were in a vulnerable situation, talking about their past and opening up about their insecurities to someone who they always fought with, but since I had to take half of the dialogue out, it just turned into this weird, cringy enemies to lovers romance thing? There even was that one bed. The funny thing was, I had already finished the entire plot of the comic to the very end. There was so much to the story that I didn't even mention, but this video feels like a bittersweet closure to the comic I see as my first failure as a storyteller. I've debated on whether or not I should spoil the ending because unfortunately, there is no chance I'll go back and complete it, and I haven't even told a fourth of the plot, but it would feel super disrespectful to my younger self who worked endless hours on the comic. So when I achieve immortality and have infinity to live, maybe then you guys could see how LOL Academy ends. I hope you guys understand. Thanks for reading.